Richician!
Hey YouTube, Dark Richician 84 here, and I'm here with part 15, where I talk about 2018. But before I begin, there were some things about 2017 that I completely forgot to mention in the last video, one of which was True Draco got banned from Royals because they were just annoying everyone. This was also the year where I first met George, the guy who's in most of my duel videos, and best of all was when I met Dan Green and Eric Stewart at London MCM. Like that was the greatest moment of that year, and I can't believe I forgot to mention it and talk about it. Just trying to find the photo, which I did show before, but yeah, here it is at London MCM in October that year. Like, it was just great. I was just nervous yet excited about talking to Dan Green. And of course, I had a Dark Magician and a Blue Eyes White Dragon signed. Now, I've shown them before, but yeah, this is just too cool. Now, I was asked if I'd get Dan Green to say, I summon the Dark Richician. Now, that was actually the plan, but unfortunately we weren't allowed to film them. Yeah, it truly was an amazing moment. So yeah, anyway, going into 18, sorry, things started off with Series 3 of the Dark Richician's Deck Grand Championship, which I was just really getting into along with its spin-offs. So far, Dark Magician won Series 1 in 2016, Raid Raptors won Series 2 in 2017. Now, filming did take a whole week, and and then my Magnet Warriors, of all things, actually dethroned Raid Raptors, but then lost against Dark Magician, which won the grand title again by defeating Red Eyes Black Dragon in the final. This was the furthest my Red Eyes Black Dragon deck had ever got, and Dark Magician, to date, is the only two-time champion of my Grand Championship series, which was inspired by Simo's YouTuber Grand Championship. Sorry, I'm doing this while keeping an eye on an upload. There we go. So yeah, then there was a little bit of confidence building in various duels. I actually beat Minerva Sworn with Rainbow Neos, which was great. After that, I reached 2,000 subscribers. Huge milestone. I also forgot to mention that I hit 1,000 in 2012, but yeah, 6 years later, here I was at 2,000. So I decided to celebrate by doing a massive pack opening. I decided to open up 350 packs. It was originally going to be 300, but someone already beat me to it for their channel, so I decided to do something different. could have done 400, but yeah, it wasn't easy getting loads and loads of packs. But eventually I did, and I pulled some pretty great stuff along the way. So yeah, that was fun. After that, I decided to give tournaments another chance. So I came back round about Easter that year. But my progress wasn't the best. Could be worse though. I think I went 2 wins, 2 losses. I definitely remember winning 1 game and losing 2 others. My win was against an invoked kaiju deck, but my losses were against Mech Knights and Mermails, and rather annoyingly, we apparently made several mistakes that messed up the game state. Yeah, one was made in the invoked game where the water invoked fusion was on the field, and I banished it with circle, but I was then told that it can't be targeted by card effects. I was like, oh, whoops. But I did have a way to get rid of it anyway. I would have just run over it with Dark Richician powered up by Apprentice. So not much would have changed. And then there were mistakes with the Mermail game, where the guy was sending some Atlantean monsters to special summon Swap Frog when and their effects were triggering, but apparently they don't trigger, because Swap Frog summoning itself is not an effect activation, and it's also not a cost to do it, so it's really weird how it works. So that was annoying. I didn't even know this, and I guess the opponent didn't know this either. It's kind of annoying when players don't know how their own cards work. And then there was a point where another one which didn't really matter that much, but the Abyss equipped spell that negates traps stopped Solemn Strike, but I assumed that it couldn't stop Solemn Strike because it's a counter trap. But yeah, someone in the comments told me that it would have negated Strike, but I was like, that makes no sense. Since when can equips negate counter traps? Only another counter trap can negate a counter trap. But then it was revealed that it works in a similar way to Raw Decree, whereas while it can't negate the activation, it can negate the effect of it still. I mean, it didn't matter anyway, he still would have won, regardless of how that spell worked, although it could have gone differently, like if he wasn't making those mistakes with the Atlanteans and the Swamp Frog. And then in the Mech Knight matchup, my opponent, Steve-O, special summoned Grinder Golem to my side and normal summoned Honest in the same turn, and we completely forgot that if you special summon Grinder Golem, you can't normal summon, and I don't think you can set either. Can't remember the exact text. Yeah, this was something we just somehow forgot about and overlooked, so yeah, that was an obvious mistake that we both really should have picked up on. Yeah, that was rather annoying. Um, yeah, also by around about this point I was playing Ghost Ogre in my deck, and there was another tournament game where I used it in a situation where I couldn't have done, and then later on, I think a Cyber Dragon player used it in a situation where they couldn't have used it. I don't remember how I did in that one. I think I know I lost my first round match, which was against dinosaurs, but I think I won all the others. Or maybe I lost one other, but all I remember was that mistakes with Ghost Ogre were made, where that people were saying things like, "Oh, you can't use it in that on that card. You can't use it at this time and on that card." And and I'm not gonna lie, I was just getting really annoyed with Ghost Ogre, and I ended up taking it out because I was just so confused regarding how it worked. I just cause so many people were saying, "Oh, it only works on this. It doesn't work on this, that, and the other," and it's like, okay, what can I use it on? Because I just didn't understand what it could work on and what it couldn't. Uh, it's so frustrating. Yeah, then there was a tournament where I just didn't do very well at all and scrubbed out. One of my losses was against True Draco, which is actually a really bad matchup for Dark Richician, because obviously the continuous spells being sent away for whatever reason can pop my back row, so yeah, my circles and eternal souls were easy targets, and yeah, it's really hard to play when my back row keeps getting popped. Yeah, why do you think I hated it when Harpy's Feather Duster came back, and why I despise Prankid's Roaring Roaster? But things picked up though. Yeah, there was another tournament where I did a lot better and actually won against True Draco. I also won against Monarchs as well. And I think I won another match, but lost another match that day. I don't know, but it was great. Defeating two decks that I hate with a passion. Then I celebrated my channel's 11th anniversary. Oh, and I forgot to mention something else about 2017. I celebrated 10 years since my channel came about. And it was both just really looking back at my favourite and most memorable moments on the channel. That was pretty much all it was, really. Then after that, I decided to play all my other decks in tournaments just to see how I do with them. By that point, I had Blackluster Soldier, my own Noble Knights, BES, Raid Raptors, Spirals, and this was also the year where my Dimension Dragon deck and my Cyburst deck were born. Because, yeah, I really like the Cyburst monsters, and wanted an excuse to play a deck solely based on Decode Talker and Firewall Dragon. Now, I did still have those monsters in my Dark Richician deck, but they wouldn't come out that much. And also, I really like the Dimension Dragons from Arc 5. So, of course, I made a Pendulum deck based on it. So, yeah, it was pretty much the standard mixture of Odd Eyes, Performer Pal, and Magician Pendulum monsters. So first up was Blackluster Soldier, and I did pretty good in this one, although I think it was a tournament where I went 2 wins, 2 losses, and my first loss was against Minerva Sworn. I didn't have a chance to do anything in this one. I got OTK'd in game 1, then game 2 I didn't have a good hand. I mean, there was one play I could have done, but Cyframe Lord Omega came out and banished that card, and then I had to scoop. Yeah, it was fucking bullshit. And just really annoying and boring that the opponent took forever to play out his turn, and only for it to build up to an OTK and a board I couldn't break because I bricked. There weren't any negates or anything, but I just had a hand that was so bad I couldn't fight back. I don't remember what my other win was against, but the win I do remember was against young Nick. I wonder how he's doing. And I can't remember if he was either playing Blue Eyes White Dragon or Element Sabers. I did overwhelm him with quite a knotty board, though. Blackluster Soldier, Super Soldier, Original Blackluster Soldier, Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning, and a Ryzen Gaia the Fierce Knight. That was cool. Then, unfortunately, I got pitted against Pendulum Magician, used by Weber's 5, and lost to it, as usual. Yeah, and by this point, Pendulum Magician did have several hits. I think by that point, Double Iris Magician, Performer Pal Skullcrabat Joker, and Supreme King Starving Venom was banned by that point, and so was Astrograph Sorcerer, I think. But these changes didn't do anything to Pendulum Magician. It's like no matter what hits were done to it, it still didn't do anything but OTK and lock down other people's decks. It was so annoying. There was still so much more they could have done. Like, even just banning Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon would have been fine. Like, just ban that fucking cunt of a card and be done with it. Of course, it never did. Yeah, Vortex just makes my life a misery. Then in the following tournament, I played with my Spiral deck. I think this was before I... Wait, did I lose interest in them? No, I don't think I did, actually. But I didn't play them that much, because they were getting a bit boring and competitive for my taste. But I kept it around anyway because I wanted to do some things with all my decks that year. In fact, this was the year where I was celebrating 15 years since I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! The plans were to do the Dark Richician's deck Ultimate Championship and an Endurance with all my decks, as in the current format decks, or at least current from that time. So yeah, Spirals. I don't actually remember any of my matchups, but I know I did win the first one and not so well in the other ones. I know I lost most of my rounds, but I can't remember if I won another match or not. I don't know, it's hard to remember, but it's kind of surprising actually, considering Spirals were really good back then. I don't think anything was hit yet, as far as I remember. I'm trying to remember when Quick Fix and Spiral Resort went to 1. Oh yeah, and Gear Drone. I'm just drawing a complete blank. Yeah, it was unfortunate. Then I used my Cyburst deck in the next tournament and just scrubbed out with it. Yeah, I was very gutted. Yeah, I lost again. Yeah, I lost pretty much all my matches, but I'm trying to remember if I got a bye-win. Yeah, I lost against James with ABCs, which was annoying, because, yeah, I couldn't fucking do anything at first because of Baguska, and then ABCs just did their usual thing. Then I lost against Altergeist, because I pretty much couldn't play. In fact, by this point they were basically meta, and yeah, it's one of those annoying decks which literally does so many things that just doesn't let you play, especially when it comes to Silquitus and Hextia. There's not enough words to describe how much I fucking hate Altergeists. In fact, I hate them so much that they're among my top 4 hated decks of all time. Yeah, they're just even worse than the likes of Antimeta, Glad Beasts, Pendulum Magician, Trick Stars, ABCs. Yeah, it's an archetype that I just wish wasn't a thing. And for the last 5 years or so, I've been really wanting Hextia and Silquitus to get fucking banned, because they're the main problem cards. Yeah, and then I lost against Element Sabers, although things could have gone a bit differently, because there was one point where Nick made a mistake that did mess up the game state. He special summoned 2 copies of the level 6 Element Saber monster, whose name I can't remember. Hold on. Excuse me. Phew. God. And yeah, that effect is a hard once per turn. And of course I didn't know that, because I don't have much experience with Element Sabers. But yeah, things could have gone differently, but yeah, I was really gutted that I didn't do very well with Cyburst. Because the problem was, back then the deck wasn't as strong as it is now. I mean, with the support it got in more recent years, Cyberse is just absolutely phenomenal and does incredible things, including the access code talker shenanigans, of course. And now it's one of my very best decks. Just wish they were as good back then. After that, I used my Raid Raptors in the following tournament, which was definitely a very good, underrated deck, which shouldn't be underestimated. I mean, or at least Raid Raptors have always been one of my best decks. So yeah, before I got interested in Speedroids, Raid Raptors were originally my favourite Arc 5 archetype. Because, yeah, I'm a big fan of Shay, and the Raid Raptors look just so cool, and Revolution Falcon is, of course, my favourite Raid Raptor. Sadly, though, they didn't fare much better than Cyberse. I lost my first 2 rounds, both of which were against annoying trap-heavy decks, and both of them being decks that I hate. One of them was Paleozoic Frog, because my stuff just got negated. Game 1. In Game 2, I sided Royal Decree against him, which I saw early on, and brought out Revolution Falcon, and yeah, the guy just couldn't get over it, and just stalled. Now, while Decree did still negate the effects of traps on the field, he could still activate them, which would trigger any Paleozoic monsters in the graveyard. And this happened so much that they end up going, "Oh my god, stop stalling!" I did eventually wipe out his life points, but then in Game 3, I just couldn't do much and he won. And then in round 2, I lost against another Altergeist player. Yeah, it was so annoying. Like, even later on, I was even going, why is everyone playing Altergeists? Yeah, there weren't enough words to describe how much I hated them. Although one of my subscribers, now former subscribers, did give me shit for hating on them, and saying that they're fun. Fuck off, are they? Altergeists are not fun, okay? They are toxic as fuck, and should not exist, and they deserve to be hit so hard by the ban list that they're just unplayable. And this person also criticised me for playing non-meta decks in a tournament, so I blocked him. Sounds petty, I know, but this wasn't the first time that this person just criticised me for no good reason. Like, he'd say he was a big fan, yet he'd just criticise me on everything, like, for no reason. Like, the way I play my decks, certain boss monsters, the way I duel, like, and he even said he was a big fan, but a big fan my arse. Now, I'm not saying I can't take criticism, but what I don't like is when people get too critical. Well, like I said, just criticise for no good reason. And and yeah, this would go on for 6 years, starting from 2012 all the way up to this year, and in the end I just lost my patience with him. Anyway, getting back to the tournament though, I did finally win a match though, which was against Element Sabres again, so I avenged my Cyberse deck. I don't remember about the other round though. And then after that, me and Express Gaming just decided to do a fun mini tournament with just our decks, where I'd use all the other ones that I was going to use. Dark Richician was included, obviously, but I did also use BES, my Noble Knights, and my Dimension Dragons. I don't think I actually ever played my Noble Knights in a tournament, like, ever. At least not as far as I remember. Yeah, after that, things went a bit downhill in terms of tournament play. I just wasn't doing well at all, which just put me down in the dumps. Yeah, in the next one, I lost every single round I played against Magical Muskets in round 1. That was another deck that I ended up really fucking hating, because it just negates everything I do, and their back row is just impossible to stop, including that cross-equip spell and Last Stand. Just annoying cards that just don't let me do anything. And the inclusion of hand traps like Ash Blossom didn't help things. Then I lost against Pendulum Magician again, which is annoying because I could have actually ended this match in a draw, but I messed up. So it went to a third game. He synchro summoned Tempest Magician. Now, I did have a way to stop this, but I did it at the wrong time. I think I used Magician's Navigation to bring out a Dark Magician and something else, and I banished something with Circle. But what I should have done was do all this immediately as soon as Tempest Magician came out, and it would have stopped Weber's 5 using its effects to burn me for 500, which would have got his life points higher. So annoyed with myself. Then I went up against Bailey, who I think was playing Phantom Knights. I can't remember exactly, but I do remember that I'd won game 1 with no problems, but in game 2 he OTK'd me, and in game 3 I bricked. I just didn't see any back row and no way to search any of the spells and traps. And then I lost that. Then I had the other tournament was just really annoying and frustrating. Again, I lost against Pendulum Magician, but then again, that was only because I made a stupid misplay in game 2, because he did have Jackal King on the field, and I had Rod and Gamma Seal in hand. Gamma Seal I had to specifically get rid of Odd Eye's Vortex Dragon, but I should have used it here. and I summoned Rod, tried to use his effect, which got negated by the Jackal King, and then I realised I messed up. So yeah, as you can guess, what I should have done was tribute the Jackal King for Gamma Seal, and I would have been able to go off and turn things around. But no, that didn't happen. Then I went up against Alex playing Gren Marju, also not a good matchup for my deck, because obviously if all three of my Dark Magicians got banished, then the deck's dead. I can't play. I did alright against him though. I did take it to a third game, but I was getting stalled out by Baguska. But then there was some confusion about when his effect would wear off. And I went into a decode talker when I probably shouldn't have done, because I would have needed to activate a monster effect to get to that point somehow. But I don't remember the plays exactly, but that's what it led to. The game state was repairable though, thankfully. But yeah, I still lost that, and yeah, it was just frustrating. I did win my last match though against Shieldwing David, but I still didn't feel too great about how things went. And yeah, I was considering just quitting tournaments again, not gonna lie. Although I may have done a bit better in the following one. I did win against a Lair of Darkness, played by Will. That was the first time I played against him, but yeah, Lair of Darkness proved to be a really annoying deck, which I also went on to really hate. Then I lost against Sky Striker Trickstar. Yeah, that was annoying. Yeah, this was when Sky Strikers were about, and they'd either be played pure or with Trickstars, and they would run the Nightmare links, which had also come into the game by that point. I only remember playing one other round, which was against Kevin. Yeah, this was the first time I played against him, and he was playing Shadowed Dino, and I did win game one with no problems, and I could have probably won the whole match, but then I kind of messed up against him. I searched for Magician's Navigation, but then he got out Winder, which basically rendered navigation useless. And I regretted my decision to search navigation. What I should have done was search for Eternal Soul. But here was the thing, the reason why I searched for navigation was because at the time, I was playing 3 copies of both these traps, and back then I would always search for the navigation rather than the Eternal Soul, because I knew that if the opponent knew that I had Eternal Soul, they'd try and counter it and do something to get rid of Eternal Soul and just take advantage of its drawback, which I wish it didn't have. Whereas at least if they tried to destroy the navigation, I could still chain it and use it and still have field presence. But Eternal Soul would have been better in that situation, because it would have changed everything and things would have gone differently, and I would have had a chance of winning game 2. But yeah, that mistake cost me. And then in game 3 I just lost that as well. So annoying. But yeah, that deck is something Dark Magician can deal with, even though I hate Shaddolls and Dinos, whether separate altogether, but at least it was a hated deck I could deal with more easily than others. And yeah, after that I decided to take a break from tournaments rather than just outright quit. And I decided I wasn't going to come back to them until certain decks got hit on the ban list. And we did get a pretty good ban list. Now there were some changes I didn't like rather annoyingly, Pendulum Magician, Trick Stars, and Altergeists didn't get hit when I feel like they really should have done, but there were some other hits that were good, I guess. Now rather annoyingly, Card Destruction and Morphing Jar were unbanned, which just really annoyed me. Not that I hated the cards, but this helped out Dark World, and Konami only brought them back just to promote Dangers, which had come into the game like a month or two beforehand. But I think that was a mistake, purely because of Dark World. And I was like, what are you thinking, Konami? You just gave Dark World back their ability to OTK. And yet Dark World became a thing again, and Dangers would be played in Dark World. And then I'm pretty sure this brought about the Danger Dark World FTK. Yeah, stupid changes were stupid. Like, one of the points of the ban list is to kill off OTK and FTK decks, not enable them. Like I said before, it just really pisses me off when Konami uses the ban list to make money and promote cards rather than fix problems in the game and keep annoying decks in check. But there was a couple of amazing changes on that list which I was jumping for joy over. Elemental Heroes Stratos and Super Poly were finally unbanned. Yeah, I was just like, even having Stratos back just really made me happy. I was just really jumping for joy. I was like, yes, finally! This is one of those rare times where Konami sees sense. And people were saying, oh, Stratos can't come back, he's too OP. But I was like, well, clearly Konami doesn't agree with you. Yeah, it was about time. Like, he should have come back a lot sooner. In fact, he shouldn't have even been banned in the first place. Because, as I said before, he was only banned because of the Blaze Phoenix FTK deck. And was also banned for no reason. Like I said before, just ban the Blaze Phoenix and that FTK is dead. And then heroes should have been left alone so that us hero players could still play him. Yeah, Super Poly getting unbanned was a great surprise as well. It was only one, but at least us Elemental Hero players did have something to get rid of negates. So, yeah, he was a very welcome addition back into my Elemental Hero, Rainbow Neos Legendary Hero, and Neospatian decks, and other hero decks, which I did have as well. like Neos Beatdown, Neos Wise Man, and Plant Heroes. Now also by this point I started my 15th anniversary celebrations. The Ultimate Championship was in full swing. It's kind of disappointing that Rainbow Neos and Blue Eyes White Dragon were knocked out early on, but despite a tough road that Dark Magician had, that was what won the whole thing, with my Destiny and Dragoon deck finishing second. I forgot about that hero deck and my Destiny heroes. They were able to play Stratos again as well. And then of course there was the Endurance with all my decks. There were quite a few that gave me a load of problems, including Lunar Lights, Morphages as well, Thunder Dragons. Yeah, that was a point about Thunder Dragons, which I'll get to later. Flower Cordians as well. That gave me a bit of trouble. And there was one annoying ruling that did come up. There was this Flower Cordian monster that could treat itself as a level 2 monster. It was one of the tuners, and I activated Fiendish Chain on it, trying to stop Brian, who was using them synchro summoning, but he said that it doesn't work and doesn't stop it being treated as a level 2 monster. But I was like, no, it shouldn't work like that. The effect is negated. And then it got ruled that Fiendish Chain actually does do anything, but I swear that's not right. Like, it should... Fiendish Chain should still stop it being treated as a level 2. Of course, it didn't matter, because I was able to beat it in the next duel, but I'd still like to see written proof that this rule even exists. Yeah, I'm still not completely convinced. Now, I did get 6 wins in a row with Blue Eyes, which beat the record of Lunar Lights and my Yugi Gadget deck. I also remember a point where Trick Stars were brought in, which George was using, much to my annoyance. They were up against my evil heroes, but he wasn't able to completely go off with them. He didn't see Candina, Lycorus, or Light Stage, but he did see Reincarnation, which banished my hand, which was annoying. However, I was still able to win. I think it was down more to luck than anything, but yeah. Yeah, to date, my Dark Magician and Evil Hero decks are my only decks that beat Trick Stars. So that was interesting. And soon after that, Neo Nexus came to visit for the 4th time. Yeah, there was another regional on. And he had 3 decks with him. Altergeists, Cyber Dragon. Yeah, it was Cyber Dragon, and invoked Mech Knights. Yeah, all of which are decks that I really don't like playing against. And yeah, Cyber Dragons were first, and I was on my Magician Girls at that point, but at that point I bricked. Yeah, I had a really shit hand that I couldn't do anything with, which is a shame, because in the previous duel I did a win against an Odd Eyes deck, but yeah, I couldn't do anything with my hand, and Infinity hit the board, which didn't help things, so yeah, that was the end of that. Then one of my other decks lost against it, but I did defeat it with my generic machines. Then came the next deck, which caused me problems. Invoked Mech Knights. I was just really struggling against them. Couldn't do much against them. Luckily, I saved a few of my better decks for them, like Spirals, Dimension Dragons. But I still wanted to save the Signature 3 for last, or should I say Signature 4, which included Legendary Hero. But yeah, I was counting on Spirals to take them out, but Droll and Lockbird just ruined me. So I was doing the standard Spiral plays of going for whatchamacallit? Fuck, I forgot the name of the Link 2 Spiral monster. Oh fuck, what is its name? This is pissing me off now, trying to remember. I'm just gonna look it up real quick. But Double Helix, that was it. So yeah, I used that to special Master Plan, then used Master Plan's effect to search for either Spiral Resort or was it a Spiral Mission card? I know it does something when it leaves the field. Let's see. Let's see, once per turn, add a Spiral Mission card from your deck to your hand. If this is sent to the graveyard, add both Spiral Resort and a Spiral monster from deck to hand. But yeah, rather annoyingly, after I added a Spiral Mission monster, he activated Droll, which completely fucked me over. And it meant I couldn't use her other effect. So I just didn't know what to do after that. I'd never been in that situation. My Spirals had never had Droll dropped on them. Yeah, ended up losing that one. But yeah, not even Legendary Hero and Rainbow Neos could beat that deck. And I was just starting to lose hope. But my Elemental Heroes came through. I did finally defeat Invoked Mech Knight after losing 6 of my decks to them. This did mean, though, that I only had 2 decks left to deal with his Altergeists. And he said he didn't have a great hand to start off with. I was like, alright, I might have hope, but he summoned Millerseek, I think, and activated Secret Village, much to my horror. But how can he not have opened up great when he opened with a Spellcaster and a Floodgate? And because of Secret Village, I couldn't fucking do anything. Like, I think I only had one monster, which was King of the Swamp. I suppose maybe I could have crashed. Wait, was it Millerseek he summoned? It might have been something else, actually. Something that King of the Swamp couldn't run over. But yeah, Swamp was my only monster, and I did have ways to get to other monsters, the emergency call, but obviously I couldn't fucking activate them, and just lost horribly. Fucking Secret Village, like, heroes can't win if that card is on the field, like, that stupid card is just an auto win button against heroes. In fact, this might be an unpopular opinion, but Secret Village is something I think should be banned, because fuck floodgates. They're just unhealthy and bad for the game, and Konami should do something about them just to restore balance and fair play. Or at least as much balance and fair play as possible to the game. So it was up to Dark Richician, but I think I got lucky. He couldn't completely go off with his plays. Although he did do some things, I was at least able to see Eternal Soul and do some things. My Dark Magical Circle got negated by Imperial Bloody Order. But thankfully I was able to establish a good board before he did, and I was able to win. So yeah, at long last I finally defeated Altergeists. So yeah, that was the end of that, and the celebrations for that year. And yeah, after that was when Thunder Dragons actually got support. Unfortunately, there was really annoying support in Thunder Dragon Colossus, which is one of the most annoying, degenerate fusion monsters in the game. Like, literally, why did that card have to be made? It's something that shuts down searches and is impossible to destroy. Like, there's literally no way to get rid of it for good. I did plan to get hold of a copy, because it was another Ghost Reaper target, but the problem is Ghost Reaper doesn't really do anything, because even if I can get rid of Colossus, it can just be recycled back with Thunder Dragon Fusion to make either another copy of it or Thunder Dragon Titan, which isn't much better. That's also impossible to destroy, and can destroy cards if a card effect is activated in hand, and it's not once per turn. Like, how is that fair? But of course, as annoying as Titan is, it's not as annoying as Colossus. And yeah, Thunder Dragons then became meta, and yeah, that became a deck that everyone just absolutely fucking hated because of Colossus. That being said, though, I was doing good in tournaments round about that point. Yeah, I did end up coming back to them in the autumn. Although things weren't off to a good start. Yeah, there was a 4-person tournament where it was just me, James, Steve-O and Shieldwing David, and I lost horribly against Altergeists. Then I beat Shieldwing David, then went up against Steve-O, and I was hoping that he would beat James, so that that way me and him would tie. And then I was hoping to beat Steve-O so that it would end in a 3-way tie between me, him and James. I mean, no disrespect to Shieldwing David, but I feel like he would have struggled a lot against Altergeists, and of course James did defeat him. But Steve-O lost against him, which meant that James would have probably won the whole thing, unless, of course, actually, no, whoever would have... Wait. Yeah, no, James would have won the whole thing, gone undefeated. And yeah, again, he was playing the dinosaur deck with Yang Zings, which I lost badly against. It was okay though, because I only didn't do well because I wasn't prepared for Altergeist, which for some reason I didn't think about, whereas against the Dino deck I could have won against it, because I think Dark Richician's the only deck that can deal with dinosaurs, but I just got unlucky. I mean, that's all it was. But things picked up in November though. There was a tournament where I did go undefeated. I remember I did win against another guy called Max. I can't remember what he was playing, but I think it might have been Nurse Burn, which I managed to win against. Then I think I won against young Callum. Yeah, this was round about the time where he started coming to the Saturday tournaments, and he was playing Cyburst. I managed to beat him, and then I went up against Steve in the last round, playing True Draco. Again, not a great matchup, but it was okay, because by that point, Masterpiece was banned, and I think Dynamite Knight was either banned or limited. I can't remember what Ignis Heat was at, but I remember it did go to a third game, and it was so close and intense. But by that point I knew not to use Dark Magic Attack on the back row, because that actually helps him out. Yeah, it would mean there was annoying floodgates on the field, but it was better that than getting rid of the True Draco spells and traps, which would have popped my cards. And I did have my life points higher, and I won the whole thing on end of match procedure. So yeah, again, it was one of those rare times where I actually did win through end of match procedure. So yeah, I won the tournament, and that was the first time in so long that I won a tournament with Dark Magician, and it was the first time I won using the support from the Dark Illusion and the movie pack. So yeah, happy days. I did slightly worse in the following two tournaments, but only slightly though. I did finish second in both of them, yeah, only losing one match. So in the following tournament, yeah, don't remember what my first win was against, but the other one was more memorable. I was up against Weber's 5 playing Pendulum Magicians, and I actually won the match 2-1. And I was just so happy. I was like, yes, I finally defeated Pendulum Magician. So yeah, that was just an achievement in itself. But then I lost in the last round against Steve, who was playing Paleozoic Frog this time. Yeah, that was just annoying. Falling at the last hurdle, and against a deck that I really hate playing against. I mean, why Paleozoic Frog was never hit round about that time is beyond me. Um, I know it technically did in 2020, but that's another story, which I'll get to later. Um, then I finished second in another Saturday tournament. I don't remember what my wins were against, but I did lose against Sky Striker Trickstar in the final, which was annoying. So that's the second time in a row that I finished second and lost against a deck that I fucking hate with a passion. Oh well. Um, I guess the only other memorable thing about 2018 was the last tournament of the year, where again I finished second, although I should have actually won the whole thing, and I'll explain why later. One of my wins was against Cal, and I think at this point he started playing Salamangreats. It was either Salamangreats or Cybers, or a mixture of both, because yeah, Salamangreats had come into the game by this point, but they didn't have much support to start off with. I don't remember what my other win was against, but I did face James in the last round, and I did take it to a third game, and he did win that round, or at least so it would seem, but only because he ruined a play with Caught by the Grave. But there was just one problem with that. He had Imperial Order on the field, and he couldn't have actually activated it, which would have changed everything. And if he hadn't made that mistake, I could have actually won. So let me explain how. So my two face downs were Magician's Navigation and Eternal Soul, and I activated the Eternal Soul, which would have forced him to use Hexia to negate something. So, oh yeah, and I was on about 1700 life points, and I'm trying to remember exactly what he was on. Let me just do some maths real quick. No. Well, regardless, he would have had to negate it with Hextia, and then he would have ended his turn. Then come my turn, I had Apprentice Illusion Magician in hand, plus something else, so I drew. Imperial Order would have dropped him to... well, I'm still trying to do the maths again, so... Yeah, Imperial Order would have dropped him to 3,800 life points at that point. So I would have discarded whatever I drew to special Apprentice Illusion Magician and activated her effect. Now it was revealed after the match that he did have a Ghost Ogre in hand, so he would have Ghost Ogred the Apprentice, which was fine, because Ghost Ogre doesn't negate, so I still would have added Dark Magician and activated Magician Navigation to special summon Dark Magician from my hand, and I would have special summoned Magician of Dark Illusion. Why not Dark Magician, you might ask? Well, here's why. So the plan was to get those out, then have Dark Magician attack into the Hexia, drop him to 28, then attack with Magician of Dark Illusion and drop him to 700. And then I would have ended my turn, and then come his turn, he would have had to pay all 700 of those life points through Imperial Order, which would have wiped out his life points and won me the tournament. Now, yeah, another player would have been able to bring out another Dark Magician just to go for more damage, but it would have dropped him to 400, if the maths is right. no, 300, and then made Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. Now, Imperial Order would have been destroyed, but I mean, I don't know if he could have actually done anything, but yeah, whatever he would have activated would have lost him the duel. Although, looking back, there is also that chance that he could have dropped a Muller-Seek and attacked me directly and wiped out my life points. So going for the plan that I actually would have done was the safer bet. God damn it. Fucking Altergeists. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up 2018. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next part when I talk about 2019, where things throughout that year haven't been as great. But yeah, we'll get to that when I get to it. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Dark Richician YouTube channel.